Welcome everyone, Jason here to walk you through nested styles. Nested styles are when you nest a character style within a paragraph style. I've got a short poem here and I'm going to show you how the nested styles are going to work. So with a paragraph style applied to all of my copy, see that I've created this paragraph style just to give you an idea of this. Futura light 10 on 13. Nothing else really going on with this paragraph formatting. No space befores, afters, indents, just basic formatting. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to put some emphasis on these particular words at the beginning. Maybe I'd like to make it a bolder typeface or bolder style. And I'd also like to make it slightly different color, or maybe just tint it so that maybe I get a lighter tint of the black. So I'm going to create a character style out of this by choosing extra bold as my typeface or my style. And I'm going to tint this back to say 75%. And now I'd like to capture this as a character style so I could apply it to a specific word or a character. Go over to the new character styles panel, click on the cheese grater, new character style, and this is going to be my bold. Under the basic formats, I'm going to look at my basic formats here, and I just want it to pick up all of the other attributes. The only thing that I'm asking this character style to do is to make it extra bold. I'll just name this extra bold just to make it more specific. And it's going to change the character color to be black at 75%. That's all I'm asking this character style to do. I've left all these other sections blank, because it's just going to assume whatever other attributes I'm applying this to in this paragraph style will automatically be filled in here. So I'm not asking it for it to be a specific size. Whatever I apply it to here, it's just going to pick up the size from the paragraph style. And I'm going to click OK. And now my character style is created. Now I could manually go in here and apply this character style wherever I'd like. But I would like to apply it to these areas where I want to have the first word of each paragraph create this character style or add this character style to it. But I don't want it here, like with the word for or but. I only want it where there's a comma. So how do I nest this character style in my body copy and tell it to be very specific on where I want it to be? Well, here's how I do it. I've created my paragraph style. I've created my character style. I'm going to right-click on my body copy style, and I'm going to edit my paragraph style. Going down to my options on the left-hand side, we go to our drop caps and nested style options. And here in the nested style section, I would like to create a new nested style within this paragraph style. So I click on New Nested Style, and it asks me, okay, what style would I like to nest here in this paragraph style? I've already created my character style. It's there in my drop-down list, and I click the extra bold. Now I have to set my triggers. So how does this turn on? How does this turn off? Well, in this case, because this is my paragraph style, the extra bold is going to start at the beginning of my paragraph. And I have a modifier that says it's going to go through or up to. And now I have my preview turned on so you can see exactly what happened. Now my modifier says through or up to. Well, what does that mean? Through, just think of this as a gate. So you walk up to the gate, you open it, and you go through that gate. Okay? Up to means you come up to the gate, but then you stop before that gate. So what are we talking about this gate? Well, this is a trigger of some sort, okay? So do we include that trigger? So we go through and include that trigger that makes it happen, or up to, but we don't include that trigger. And then we include how many of whatever things, which is our trigger. We're going to explain this more. But here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it very simple. I'm going to go through and I'm going to say, I want this character style applied up to the first occurrence of a comma. Well, you'll notice that there is no comma listed in here, but this is one of these fields that is not only a drop-down menu with presets, but it is also a field that can have something entered in it. So, this nested style, I'm applying the extra bold up to the first occurrence of a comma. If it does not find a comma, it will continue on down the line until it does. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to see how this works. All right. It works, but not the way I expected. But we're going to fix this. So, just to rehash here, we went and did our paragraph style, went to our nested styles, we nested our character style so that it applies at the beginning of our paragraph up to the first trigger, which is the comma. So, it applies this extra bold at 75% black up to, but not including. If I choose through, you're going to see that it will then go through and it will include the comma and making that bold too. I don't want that. The comma is the trigger, the turn off the extra bold character style. So the extra bold is applied up to the first occurrence of the comma, and it works exactly like that. Now, if it does not find a comma in here, it will go all the way to the end of the paragraph. And then here it finds a comma, and it doesn't make that comma bold. Now, watch this. If I go put a comma right here, you'll notice that the rest of the line then falls into the paragraph style. So that comma is the trigger. Well, that's kind of interesting. So let's take care of this. I want all these words here that start and then followed by a comma to be this bold character style. But this line, I don't want it to be at all, because I don't want to go in and put a comma here and have the word for, because it doesn't make sense in terms of this poem. Now remember, this is paragraph formatting. I have all my hidden characters turned on here. Under the type menu, I'm showing all my hidden characters. Style comes over, and it begins the nesting of the character style all over again. But I don't want this entire thing to be made extra bold until it finds a comma. So I'm going to replace this paragraph return with a soft return. Why? Because this is an entire paragraph and it stops right here at the semicolon. The next paragraph starts, and because I've nested this style in here, it then makes this extra bold in this new paragraph until it comes up to the first occurrence of a comma. It shuts off that nested style, and then the entire paragraph style continues on. I've put in soft returns because I want to treat this all as one paragraph, even though I want the lines broken, because I only want the first word made extra bold before the comma. So again here, I'm going to put a soft return, which is going to be shift return, after here. And I get my initial word made extra bold, triggered by that comma, but not including the comma, as part of my nested style. So this is a way that you can nest a style in something so that you don't have to worry about where or how to apply this manually. Interesting way to do a nested style. But it gets more complicated. So here I've got all of my content. All done, and it's all body copy, and I didn't have to manually go in here and select the extra bold as I went through and apply the extra bold and everything. I've set this up in my paragraph style. So now if I were to add another line here and I were to do something more, I type the word more and it continues on. I hit my comma and then it returns to its original paragraph styling. That's a nested style. Interesting. So let's go in and let's get a little bit more engaged on how we can control this style, where we can have multiple paragraph styles in an entire text container, but also multiple character styles within a single paragraph. So let's do that. So here I'd like to add several character styles within my paragraph style. I've created a paragraph style called menu copy. What if I edit this menu copy? Basic formats, Avenir, book. I really haven't done anything else with this paragraph style. But I think I will, because I'm going to add a few more items within here to make this a little bit better formatted. So I'm going to select my entire first paragraph and go to my paragraph formatting, and I'm going to add a little bit of space after. And I'm going to right-click on that paragraph style and redefine the style so that now all of my paragraphs that have my menu copy applied to it have that amount of space after. Okay, that's great. And I may just track that a little tighter too, using my Option or Alt left arrow, just tracking that a little tighter. And if I'd like to include that in my paragraph style, right-click on that paragraph style. I can see that something's changed because it's got the plus. Right-click and redefine style, and it adds it all to it. Now what I'd like to do is also apply a tab, because I'd like this price to be all the way over on the right-hand side and have a leader in here. So again, I'm going to select my entire paragraph, and I'm going to call up my tabs, which is going to be under the Type menu, under Tabs, which is Shift-Command or Shift-Control-T. And I'm going to use my little magnetic snap to snap it to the top of my bar. Now the copy has already had the tab character placed in here at the end of the description before the price. So all I need is one tab character, and now I need to set the tab. And I talk about this in my tabs video, so I'm not going to get super involved in setting tabs. Now, with my copy, I'm going to grab my right justified tab, and I'm going to park it at the end here where I want my tab or my copy to fall at the end of my sentence. And now this tab character will push my copy over and align it to the right here at the end of my text container. With this tab selected, I'm going to put in a leader, which is just simply going to be a dot, and then I hit return, and that leader then gets applied. Now, if I right-click on my menu and I redefine the style, now all of my copy will now pick up those attributes. Now I want to go in and I want to begin formatting all of this copy using character styles. So here, at the beginning, I'd like to make this font a little bit bolder. And so I go to my character styling here. It's Avenir Book. And I'd like to try Avenir Medium, maybe a little bit more heavy. I'm going to do Avenir Black. Okay, so I'd like this to be called out. So I'm going to select this and turn this into a character style. Go to my character styles. I'm going to create a new character style. And this is going to be my black lead in. And just make it super clear. Black lead in for menu item. Okay? And go to my basic formats here. It's just going to be the font style called black, and it's going to pick up all of the other attributes. And the character color, I'm going to make that black, but say 80%. Okay, make it a little bit lighter. Beautiful. All right. But now as I go on, I'm going to come through here, and the price, I would also like to go in, and I'd like to make that heavy. Actually, I'm going to make that black as well. But I'm also going to make this a different color, so I'm going to turn it red. Okay. And I may even go in and bump up the size a little bit more, like so. I'm going to create a character style out of this. Create a new character style. And this is going to be my bold red price. And my basic character formats are going to style it differently, make it a little bit larger, and apply red as a character color. I'm going to click OK. Now, how do I go through and format this copy so I can nest these styles into all of my content? Well, because I'd like my styles to now look like this, I'd like to go and I would like to nest these styles within my menu copy. So I'm going to right-click on my paragraph style to edit it, go to my drop caps and nested style section, click on the nested styles, and I start with my walkthrough. The first nested style that I'd like to have is going to be my black lead-in for the menu item. Where is it going to continue? Well, if it only goes through the first word here, and I do that, you'll see that just the first word is done. But what I'd like it to do is I'd like it to go up to the first occurrence of, in this case, a comma. So there it goes, comes to a comma, finds the comma, stops, Goes up to the comma, but does not include the comma. Okay, great. Now, what's my next step here? Well, my next nested style is then going to be what? So after this comma happens, right here, the black lead-in for the menu character style goes up to the first character style, or the first comma here. What does it do next? Well, I want it to do nothing, okay? And it's like, well, no, you wanted to make it red. Yes, but we're still stuck right here at this comma because that's all that this does. Apply this up to the first comma. So right here, what does it happen next? Well, nothing happens next. So we say nothing until it goes through the first what. So where does this go and apply no style through or up to? Well, I want no style applied until it goes all the way up to the tab or through the tab. Well, here it'd be through the tab. So it's going to go up to the first tab character. So nothing, no character style gets applied through the first tab character. Now, once it does this and goes through the first tab character, what gets applied after that? Well, my next nested style now gets the bold red price applied through what? Well, it can go to basically the end of the paragraph. So we can say through the end of the sentence. The sentence is either punctuation here or a paragraph return, and let's see how this works. Okay, well, seems to work. Now, there's different ways to do this. Because it does end, we could go to the end of the word, or we could go to the end of the line break. Here, I just go to the end of the sentence. So once you have a paragraph return, it's the end of the sentence, whether you have punctuation or not. So let's check out and see how this works. Okay, so we've nested our black lead-in up to the first occurrence of the comma, but not including the comma. After that, absolutely nothing happens whatsoever until it goes through the tab character. And then after that, the bold red price goes through the end of the sentence, and I click OK. Works. Wow, check that out. Now let's open up my text container here because the type's a little bit larger, and everything works just like I like. Ooh, you know, this one, it goes for an awfully long time before the comma hits. So I could go in and I'm going to put a comma in here, and you can see how that changes miraculously. Okay, so this is a cool way of going in and nesting multiple styles. Now, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do some soft returns because I'd like to break these lines so that I get a little bit more space around my copy. Why isn't this line formatting the way I want to? Well, there really is no space for the tab and the leader here. We've run out of room. So I may do a soft return here to break this, or even break it like this so that I have more room. In some cases, I just don't have the room for the copy to show up, so I can break that in a way that looks a little bit better and make it look like this. Okay, get rid of that soft return. Maybe I go in and apply this. There we go. So, interesting way to go and create different styles, different character styles, nested within a single paragraph style. So now whenever you type something, you don't have to worry about applying your bold style to here, accidentally selecting the comma or not, and then hitting your tabs. Now, of course, if you forget your tab, guess what? That's a trigger. So nothing happens. The leader doesn't show up and it doesn't turn bold and red right there. Now, say you want to go and you want to do something here with the leader that is going to be different. Maybe you want to make it a different color. I'm going to edit the paragraph style and go back to my nested styles here. Now we can rearrange this order and we can also insert new items in here. So I'm going to stick one new item of nesting in here. I'm going to do a new nested style here. And it's like, oh, wait a second, I forgot to create my nested style. Not a problem. I could go in and I could create a brand new character style out of this by doing it basically on the fly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of my leader here. And I'm just going to call this my leader color. And I'm going to make it black, but I'm going to do a very light tint, say 35%, just so that leader is kind of grayed back. And this is my new character style. I'm creating it right in here. But I need to make sure that I get this in the right order. Remember that this black lead-in comes up to, but not including the comma. The next one is nothing happens until it goes through that tab. Ooh, okay, so I'm going to move this leader color up right here. So nothing is going to happen here, but I'm going to say nothing happens until it comes up to the tab character. So that's right here. This tab character is actually right here, okay? So now nothing happens up to the first tab character. The leader color then goes through the first tab character and then stops, okay? And then the bold red price then goes through the end of the sentence. Ah, very careful, okay? And so it's really important how you turn these items on and off. You have to think of them like as a switch or a trigger. So when I walk into the room, I'm already have my black heavy font going on. And once I see a comma, I stop before I see the comma and I shut it off. And then as I continue on through the room, nothing happens until I come and I sense this tab character. Once I come to the tab character, then all of a sudden my leader color, which is that fade, comes in until I get to the end of my tab character, and then I wait for another command and I get to the end of my tab character. It says make the price bold and red and continue through the sentence. So this is how I would do a nested style. Now, something that you have to be careful with when you're doing tabs. Tabs are absolute. And I don't know how wide I've set my tab. It was someplace around like 4 or 5 inches here. If I select my container here, my container is 4.5 inches wide, so my tab was set like 4.5 inches. If I were to change the size of my container, those tabs are absolute. And I said, okay, set my tab at 4.5 inches, and now this completely throws my tabs off. Well, here I'd have to go back into my paragraph styles, edit my copy, so that with my tabs, I can see that my tabs are way off the edge. Okay, here's the end of my container right here because I've narrowed it up, but my tab's way over here. So this is not super intuitive, okay, because you'd never know. I mean, it shows you this is the width of your container in the white portion of your tab bar, but there's where my tab is set, so I'm going to move this all the way over here. And if I have my preview turned on, which I should have all the time, you can see now I can actively change where that falls in regard to the size of my text container. And all of a sudden here, it's like, okay, you know, why is this not working? Well, there isn't enough room for the price. So I would need to come in here and do a soft return. Of course, if I do a hard return, it's going to look completely wrong because of my nested styles. So the soft return is going to break the line, but keep those styles all in check. Those triggers, those steps have to meet those specific items which we laid out in the paragraph styles. That one, the bold must go ahead and be applied until it finds a comma. If it finds no comma, it'll continue on until it does. If it finds nothing, it'll apply it to the entire sentence without doing any other of the triggers or any other settings that we've set. So very important to set this up. Soft returns are great to break the content without starting a new paragraph return, and your formatting can then be made to look really good. But this is how we nest styles in here. Now I'd like to show you how we can do nested styles with bullets, and also nested styles where we can have hanging indents as well. So here I have a little vacation itinerary, and I've set a paragraph style. I'm going to edit the paragraph style here, and the basic format I'm using Gill Sans Light. And Gill Sans has a lot of different styles here, so this can work out really good. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a nested style here. And I'm going to select this, and I'm going to make this bold, and I'm then going to apply this to my paragraph styles. Now, I may want to have different paragraph styles in here because I'm going to have one for bullets and numbering here. So we're going to make this work. So in the travel copy, I've gone in and I've made this Gill Sans semi-bold. I'm going to make a new character style out of this. I'm going to call this my semi-bold character style and click apply. Now I'm going to edit my paragraph style, and going down to my drop caps and nested style, I would like to nest this semi-bold style into my copy. So there's my semi-bold, and I want it to go through the first word. And that works really good through all of my content here. And I click OK. Oh, look at that. That's a paragraph return. I don't want the word volcano made bold, but every time it does a paragraph return, okay, that works really nice. I like that, okay? But now it comes down here to my air travel and my bullets and numbering here and my dashes, and it's like, oh boy, this really, I don't like this at all. Don't like this style. So one of the things I could do here is I could actually go in and I could simply duplicate this style. So I get a travel copy, but what I'm going to do here is travel copy, and I'm going to call this my bullets. And there is a problem in here. Sometimes when you try to type this in, it types backwards. It actually will type the letters in reverse order when you try to type. It's a very weird thing that happens. Here under the drop caps and nested style, I'm going to remove this style from here so that I get a copy of this so I can use the same formatting that I've done here, but format this a little different. And I'm going to call this bullets. Now, in this, I want to show you something a little bit more unique. There's two different ways that you can create bullets. You can create them manually. So I'm going to just put this content in here, and I'm going to create some manual bullets. In fact, let me just take this content out of here and put it in its own container so I can show you how we can manually create bullets if you ever wanted to do this without using any of your paragraph or character styles. Bullets are pretty easy, and the way that you can get a bullet is going to be Option or Alt and the number 8. So somebody put all of these bullets in here manually. Well, that requires me to then go in and remember to put these bullets in. But if I use Option or Alt 8 and then put a space after it, I get a bullet. Now this isn't a paragraph or character style. I'm doing this manually. And I run into a specific problem. I'm doing my bullets here, and I notice that when I do my bullets, sometimes I have longer lines. And the second line comes in here, but I would really like to have this line up right here, underneath, in this case, the 9. So do I go in and hit my space bar numerous times? No, because all it does is just clog that up with spaces. If I do a soft return, then I'd have to go in and tap my spaces. But the problem is I have to do this every time I have a break, and this is not the way you format ever. And then also too, it doesn't quite line up with here, so I have to mess with it, so that's not going to work at all. But InDesign has a wonderful way of doing this, and this is all manual, by the way, and then I'm going to show you the way we're going to actually build this into a paragraph and a character style. Again, manual bullets, Option or Alt 8 and a space. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to have all the other lines of copy be indented right to where my cursor is right here, which just so happens to be called in InDesign the Indent-to-here. If I put my cursor at the beginning of my first line, go into the Type menu, Insert Special Character, Other, I'm going to choose the Indent-to-here, which is that's your Command or Control / okay? I put that in. Let me zoom in on this so you can see what's going on. Do you see that little dagger right there, that little cross? That is what's called an Indent-to-here hidden character. All the other lines in the paragraph will then be indented right to there. You don't even have to do anything. Now this is a manual type of thing, so I'd have to do this in every paragraph. Okay? So while this is a really cool thing, I cannot capture this in any of my paragraph styles because it's all done manually. So if I put my cursor on the next line here after I've done my manual bullet and I use my Indent-to-here, you'll notice that all of my copy now in the rest of the paragraph indents to here. And if we turn off all of our hidden characters here, you can see that that all now nicely lines up right there. That's beautiful. However, this was all manual. So how do I go in and I set my styles so that my paragraphs are going to work like I want to, give me that bullet, and then also give me that indent? Well, so while this is a really cool way of doing it manually, if I'm going to do this a couple times, I do it manually. But if I'm setting up a style, especially for a travel brochure, I don't want to spend all that time doing that. Well, it's just so cool, it just doesn't work for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my bullets here completely and my indent to here. Goodbye. I know, I love it, but can't do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a style now that has the bullets automatically in it. So I'm going to select my paragraph. I'm going to select a couple paragraphs here. I can go into my paragraph formatting, and I've got my bullets and numbering right here. Now you'll notice when I go in and I use my bullets here, it indents it really far, and this is so annoying. I don't like the indents this far. I want much less of an indent, but they just put in massive indents right here. So if you go up to your bullets and numbering here and you Option or Alt click on your bullets and numbering that you just did, it will call up your bullets and numbering. You can also go all the way over to the far end of your InDesign control bar, click on the cheese grater here, and then be able to go in and edit your bullets and numbering right here and get up that same dialog box. So what's happening here? Well, first of all, when you do bullets and numbering, you have your choice of putting in a bullet character. Yes, it's got the standard bullet character right there, but you could pick any type of bullet character that you want. If you're not finding the bullet character that you like, click Add, and then you can choose any font, because by the way, it doesn't need to be the same font. But if you do want to choose a different font here, you could then go in and you can put in a different bullet, okay? So here, I could have a different typeface, and I could put a star in there if I want to. Click on the preview and see. Maybe I want a star, maybe I want a bullet. Doesn't matter. You can add it right here. Now, how is this actually being formatted? Well, this is the tricky part. So, with the bullets and numbering, it starts off with a bullet, whatever bullet you choose, and then it puts this text, the text then follows after this bullet with this right here. This is a tab space here, which gives you, in this case, 1/4 inch. Well, I don't want, that huge tab shoved all the way in there. So I'm just going to get rid of it, and what I want here is I actually want a space. And I'm just going to take my space bar and put in one space. You can also go here and say, okay, I want an M space or an N space, or just a hair space or a thin space or a punctuation space. I know all these different ones here. To get that so that it indents however far you want. Okay, so maybe you go in and you indent that, and I just literally typed in a single space. It doesn't show up, but I'm just highlighting it right here. So I've got my bullet character, and then the text begins after this space. Now I could then apply a character style to this, but I don't want to at this point. But you'll notice now that my copy, like on this line, doesn't line up. The 9 is here, but the word and comes all the way in. Well, this is where things get really weird, okay? The reason why is because it's trying to indent it. So we have a left indent here where it's indenting everything from the left. And then it's taking the first line and it's outdenting it back the exact same amount. So really what it's doing is it's lining it back up with the edge. But this indent and this outdent is what's giving me this funky, crazy, kind of notchy indent here. So in order to make this work, I have to set my first line indent to 0 first. If I don't set my first line indent to 0 first, it's going to yell at me. Okay, so you got to set the first line indent to 0. Then I'm going to set my left indent back to 0. And this is what I get. Okay, so here's what I have. I have no left indent and I have no first line indent. If I had a first line indent, you can see that the first line will then be indented and all the subsequent ones won't be. Well, I want exactly the opposite. What I want is I want the first lines not to be indented, but all the other ones to be indented to fall in under this area here. So what I have to do is I have to indent the left, and then I'm going to do an equal but opposite or negative amount for the first line indent. So we indent everything in, and then I tell the first line to go back. I'm going to indent more, and then I'm going to back the first line off. And what this does is this nicely lines up everything. So basically what I've said is indent everything. And then I said, no, wait a second. Take the first line and push it back out. That way it thinks all the other lines in the paragraph are indented, and then it outdents this to make it look like all the lines are lined up here. That's the trick. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to right click on my paragraph style and redefine it So I get my bullets so that they line up here. Oh my gosh, look at that. Awesome. So all of this is now formatted here. And now, whatever I do, you'll notice that all of my copy nicely falls in under that bullet. This is amazing. Now, every time I hit return, I automatically get the bullet, and it automatically indents no matter how much info, that's info, I put in here so that it lines up. Hit return, the bullet comes in, and look at that, it all lines up beautifully. Now, I think I'm going to go into my paragraph style here. I think I need a little bit of space after each and every bullet paragraph just to make it look a little bit better. There it is. Isn't that awesome? Here, somebody still put in the manual bullets here, so I have to get rid of those out. And I can also get rid of my little dashes as well to set that. Get rid of my paragraph return, it gets rid of the bullet. So this is a really cool way to go in and do bullets in a way that really works well for you. This is cool. Now, of course, we can do all of our nested styles in here. We wanted to do the first word or the first couple words to be bold, whatever you want. But this is a different way of going in and using paragraph styles to go ahead and make your bullets work and to have all of the copy line up in the rest of your paragraph. That is definitely worth pursuing.